Aloha, everybody, and welcome back to Vision Quest Astrology. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different, and it might be completely boring to some of you out there because I'm not going to be talking about stuff that necessarily applies to current transits. I'm going to be talking about my transits right now, me, myself, and I, just because I've been going through a lot of intensity lately with some of the aspects going on with my natal chart with the current transit planets, and I just figured I'd make this video as a way to express myself, to feel a little bit better, to get it out there. But I would hope that maybe with this video that some of you out there are going through these transits too, and if you guys are, then maybe you'll relate to some of what I am saying, and I won't just be rambling on about nothingness. Saturn has been the main one that's targeting my natal chart right now. And what I mean is the transit Saturn is making aspects to my natal chart of when I was born. So we all know it. Saturn is the taskmaker in the sky. He is the timekeeper. Saturn is probably the hardest planet, probably along with Pluto, to deal with. Saturn's relentless. Saturn is going to test us again and again and again until we finally understand it. And what we don't realize is we get so upset in these modes, but really we are being helped beyond belief. We are getting taken to the next level. It's like in school, you don't pass a grade and get to the next until you got all of it. It often feels like you are jumping through hoops that are set with fire half the fucking time where Saturn is concerned, but after a couple times you start to work it and you start to learn, okay, this is what's happening, I'm going to use this to my advantage. So with myself, the biggest one I've been going through is Saturn conjunct my Ascendant. And, and your Ascendant point is basically the cusp of your first house, which I'm sure you all know. And it marks the beginning of your first house. And your Ascendant sign it's in is a really big deal for your personality. I think the Ascendant is even more important than your sun sign or your moon sign. I am a Scorpio Ascendant, so 28 degrees. And Saturn was conjunct my Ascendant back in December, a couple weeks before Saturn went into Sagittarius. And how this is kind of taken on is now that Saturn's retrograding, it's at, I think 0 Sag now, it's forming that conjunction to my Ascendant again. It starts forming the conjunction about 2 degrees before it is exact, and then it's exact at 28 Scorpio. This has been probably the most difficult aspect that I have ever had, astrologically, transit-wise. And let me backtrack here a little bit. As far as houses go, Saturn was transiting my 12th house the whole time that Saturn was in Scorpio. Saturn in the 12th house is disillusionment and a wake-up call to the max. And it just completely, any area in your life that you are wearing rose-colored glasses and that you are just swimming your way through and just still living in these beliefs that are not true, Saturn comes in with that loud horn and wakes you up. Saturn is a very sobering planet, to say the least, and doesn't really care for a lot of bullshit, a lot of fakeness, and a lot of the ways that we skirt around doing the work that we need to do. And apparently in my 12th house, there was a lot of work to be done. There was a big sweep up that needed occurring, and Saturn made sure it got done with a lot of resistance on my end, but nonetheless it happened, and it had to happen. And I'm grateful for that, but it wasn't easy. So to suffice with that one, Saturn going into my first house, I was very excited about, because Saturn in the 12th was just god-awful miserable for the most part. Need it or not, there was nothing easy about it. So then Saturn started conjuncting my Ascendant. So, I was getting excited for this, because the Ascendant is the threshold, the doorway that opens up into your first house. That's what all of the cusps are. You have the whole house, but the cusp of the house, which is what the Ascendant is for the first house, is the doorway that opens it up. And so it started Saturn conjuncting my Ascendant in December last year. And this crazy amount of pressure, I wouldn't even say intensity, but pressure. Because Saturn has a lot to do with density. It represents weight. And the Ascendant is your physical body, represents your physical body in a lot of ways. You start to physically feel just pressure on your body. And I can say physically, I don't know if anybody else can attest to this, I have had severe sinus issues. Just feeling like an elephant is sitting on top of my head most days, all kinds of issues in my nose and my ears popping all the time. Just this weird feeling behind my eyes all the time. I would love to hear in the comments if anybody else has gone through this, because I never had these issues before. Saturn is a very mature, responsible planet, so when Saturn hits your Ascendant and goes into your first house, you feel this overwhelming sense of responsibility and maturity. And even if you're only like me and 21 years old, finally the age where you can legally drink, and supposed to be having all of this fun, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel that way at all. You just feel like, gosh, I have all of these things I need to accomplish. I have all of these things that I need to do with my life. I have so much that I'm wanting to do, but yet you can't do it because you feel that you have this heavy teacher that's on you saying, like, no, you can't be going out having fun. You can't go out and drink tonight. You can't go to your friend's birthday parties. You can't go you can't take off work today just because you feel like it. No, you can't do that. You have to be responsible and mature and get shit done. Perfectly honest with you guys, my day job, I've been working in a rehab hospital for the last 2 years now. And the first year that I was there, I'm not saying I was calling out all the time and I was this horrible worker, but I like to travel a lot, and I like to go, there's just different places I like to travel to. I'm a big avid camper and just exploring. I have a Sagittarius moon. I like to have fun. I felt like, hey, I'm young, I'm going to live and enjoy my life. Since Saturn's hit my Ascendant and has gone in my first house, it's not like that anymore. The most intense while it's on the Ascendant, because it's like, that is the entrance point to the first house. It's your personality. It's just, and it's what your soul incarnated into at that very moment you were born. That is what your soul came here to do. It's heading for my Ascendant again. And that basically means that intensity, that pressure, that overwhelming sense to achieve is back. God, like, save me now before I even get there. Like, just talking about it, I get so overwhelmed by it, because I feel like in the short time that I've been going through this transit already, I have taken on so much responsibility and so many extra duties that I did not quite know what they were going to be. Our Ascendant shows where people are really perceiving us and how and what they see us as. And with Saturn here, we care 10 times more than we normally do how people see us. And I can attest to, especially in work situations. So Saturn is all about work, you know, rules of midheaven and stuff. When I go into work these days, if my hair is not exactly perfect, if there's something on my face, if I'm not wearing exactly the right clothes, I'm just worried about every little detail of my appearance because, you know, the ascendant is your appearance, and I want to look mature, I want to look responsible, I want to look like I'm going to get the job well done, and I don't want someone thinking that, oh, I'm just this 21-year-old kid that doesn't know what he's doing. That's like my worst nightmare. Someone thinking that I'm not mature, that I'm not responsible, and that I don't have what it takes to do the job. And sometimes that's just going to happen. I realize that, you know, we're not always going to be able to do the job, and sometimes it's better to just say up front, hey, I actually need help. And Saturn's been putting all of this pressure on me. I feel like that's what Saturn is wanting me to say, is that I need help. If I'm not equipped at doing something, ask this person for help so that you're not struggling to do it alone and you just make a fool of yourself and, you know, make the job 10 times harder than it has to be. You know, we have co-employees and co-workers and other people around us in relationships in life to make the job easier and to get it done. In turn, puts a lot of wear and tear on my body. Yeah, I'm young, but it pushes me past my limit, and it makes it to where I'm tired and drained before I need to be, and then I feel miserable by the end of the day and just feel like I can't go anymore. And like I'm just completely swamped and overwhelmed and just so overtaken it's not even funny. And that's where it can become, that's where you really start to feel Saturn's effects is on your body. Saturn crossing the Ascendant and retrograding over it back and forth, as tense as it can be, it is a time of restructuring your entire personality. Who you were before Saturn came to your Ascendant is going to be such a vastly different person after it hits it. Because that's what it feels like. Saturn coming to the Ascendant feels like this train that is just going 90 to nothing, just pounding through the door of your personality. And it hits hard. It hits very hard. And it's like, we all have these mechanisms that make us who we are. These personality traits that are very near and dear to us sometimes, and are quite sensitive points. It's kind of like having a stack of dominoes that just falls right down. It comes right through and it takes down your dominoes, to say the least. Saturn will take your dominoes away from you. I hope that this wasn't completely boring. I know it was just a complete ramble of my thoughts, but I figured I would just share my own personal transits I'm going through right now, and some that just in general really speak to me. And that it could give y'all some insights if y'all have gone through these transits too. So yeah, please let me know your feedback in the comments, and email me at my email in the description box if you would like a discounted chart reading for a really awesome price. So thank you for watching, everybody, and happy transiting.